Let's jump straight into it now and let's connect with Doc via Zoom. Doc, good morning to you. Hello, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning,
Yes.
ma'am.
So good to hear from you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good morning.
Yes. Hi. Good morning,
You're
Doc.
most welcome and good morning.
Sure, Doc. Now let's get stuck
Can
straight.
you hear me?
I think we might have a small lag in the connection, Doc. We'll try and sort this out and get back to you. But are you able to hear me clearly? Let's try that again. Hello, Doc. Good morning. I think Doc might be having some technical issues. We will try and reconnect. Hello, Doc. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning and
Yes.
good morning to your listeners.
Good morning again. Thank you for joining us. I think our connection is now a bit more stable.
I can hear you now, actually.
Okay, there is a seeming small delay or a lag in the connection. But again, thank you for joining us. We're talking about managing family health for productivity. We're talking about managing health, the family's health for productivity. And let's just jump straight into it. When we talk about managing family health, how do we check the family's health status and go on to then maintain it? Is there a standard checklist, if you will, that mums and dads and households should be looking out for? What are some of the maybe common ailments that families should be thinking about?
Okay, so thank you for inviting me to this program and thank you to your listeners. When we talk about family health, we are talking about the conditions that can occur in a family. And we know the functions of a family. A family is a group of people joined together by marriage, by choice, or legally. And there are certain functions a family performs: nurturing, socialization. And by virtue of the fact that you are in a particular family, you may have certain conditions that may be running through in the genes. There may be some environmental conditions that may be prevalent in a particular family and not in another. For example, some families would eat a particular diet and so be more predisposed to certain conditions than another family that is eating probably more grains. And so to start with, would need to first identify which kind of family we are from.
Right.
And that's with knowing what our family history is. So we start from there.
Okay.
Is a parent having a condition, hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol problems, asthma, has been diagnosed with a cancer of some sort? We start from there. If there are any positives, does the mother have it? Does the father have it? Because we know that if someone has a parent who has diabetes, one parent who has diabetes, your risk goes up. So the risk is just a risk factor, it's just something that is more giving you a more likelihood that you're going to have something other than someone who doesn't have that risk. If you have two parents with diabetes, your risk goes higher. And then hypertension as well. So it depends really on the conditions that are prevalent in the family. So as I've said, certain conditions are prevalent in certain families. Even mental illness can occur, bipolar depression and depression can run in families. So it's a good thing to have a family doctor who would be able to take a family history and then determine what the risks are. Because depending on whether your parents have a particular condition, you being more likely to have it will start screening you at a younger age compared to someone who doesn't have that kind of condition. So that's the first thing I'll say about this, because it's actually more specific to certain families than others.
And Doc, thank you for that. I think that sets the tone for the conversation. So in families where there are pre-existing medical conditions, so mom or dad has maybe a cancer or hypertension, you would say that then from the outset they should be watching the diet, making sure that the children are also protected from possibly also getting some of these diseases down the line. But what about families who don't have any real pre-existing medical issues, or there's nothing that's at the moment been discovered? Is there a checklist that moms and dads should maybe follow? So, for example, the month of May, we know it's measurement month, so people are checking their blood pressure and that sort of thing. Maybe if it's a family with young children, what should parents be looking out for on a month-to-month basis or on a quarterly basis? And in fact, how often should they be thinking about the health status of the members of the family?
Right. So for measuring sake, usually the people who are asymptomatic, that they don't have any conditions of note, they don't have any significant family history, we do opportunistic testing. So for example, if your has a cold or has a headache and happens to go to a hospital, you want to check their blood pressure. But then if the person has some condition that will predispose him to obesity, will predispose him to high blood sugars or high blood pressure, would want to check that more often. When if your family, your parent is pregnant, if a mother is pregnant, at least that is also opportunistic. So they're going to be checking a number of things.
Hello, Doc. I think we might have lost Doc very briefly, and we're still talking with Dr. Dora Egblewogbe. She is a family physician and clinical care coordinator at the Korle Bu Polyclinic Family Medicine Department. We'll try and reconnect with her. We've lost her on the phone very briefly. Oh, sorry, on Zoom. We'll try again.
3FM Sunrise. Start your day.
And Doc makes some great points. Let me see if we can connect with her again. Doc, hello, are you back on the line? Some good pointers to note so far in terms of managing the health of the family, talking about any pre-existing medical conditions that might be present in the family and how that should inform things, for example, such as food and the diet of the family as a whole. Is there diabetes in the family, for example? Are there issues of cancer? Is mommy pregnant, for example? These are all themes that the family should be looking at when talking about managing the health, and also preventative measures to ensure that we all keep some money in our pockets. Healthcare is not cheap. The medication is not cheap. How do we prevent ourselves from spending excessively on issues and ailments that are preventative? We'll try and reconnect with Dr. Egblewogbe, and we'll get a few more gems as we round up on this conversation. It's still Family Month here on 3FM 92.7.
3FM Sunrise.
I believe Doc is back on the line. Let's carry on with the conversation. Doc, hello, good morning again.
Hi, and my sincerest apologies for the breaks in transmission.
No problem at all. Okay, now let's talk about preventative measures or preventative medicine for family members. So, talking about diet, exercise, and quality time being spent. In fact, I saw a very interesting quote somewhere on social media a while back, and it was somebody saying, well, diabetes runs in my family. And to which somebody responded that actually nobody runs in your family, and that's why you have these issues, meaning that exercise is lacking. Let's talk about some of the things that household leaders, if you will, mums and dads and guardians, can do to ensure that across the board there's proper nutrition, diet, exercise, quality time, and tell us about how that ultimately affects the health of the family.
Wonderful. So we know that certain conditions have certain risk factors. For example, your diet, the fact that you smoke or not, the fact that you exercise or do not exercise, the type of food you eat has a bearing on many, many conditions. If you talk about diabetes, if you talk about hypertension, if you talk about cholesterol problems, obesity and overweight, even certain cancers. So we say that if you do certain things, you are going to live a lifestyle in moderate.
Okay, I think we've lost Doc. Again, I think the internet connection is not too stable. We'll hopefully try and reconnect with Doc as she gives us some more tips about preventative measures.
FM Sunrise.
And I'm loving it too, and it's making me want you more. See, even the things we are doing, they make you the want me the more. There's no one but you. Nah, no one but me.
Time check though, it is some 7 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we still have a little ways to go. Do connect with us on our socials as well. We'll reconnect now with Doc on the telephone. Doc, hello, good morning again.
Yes, please.
Yes, you were telling us about, not a problem at all. You were telling us about the preventative measures, diet, exercise. Let's pick up from that point.
Okay. So I'll say, and if you'd remember these numbers, that'll be great. So 0, 5,
0, 5,
10, 30,
yes.
150.
0, 5,
So
10, 30.
0, 5, 10, 30, 150. And this is just generic. So if you don't have any conditions, you can follow this. If you do
Okay.
have certain conditions, then you would take the prevention a notch higher as per your doctor's recommendation. So 0, no smoking. Why no smoking? Smoking has been found to be associated with a lot of cancers. It can also help. It can also make you form clots. And from what we are realizing, there may be some significant familial risk factors. For example, what I mean by this is there's some clotting disorders in certain people which are not diagnosed. And
Right.
so if you have that and you smoke, already smoking by itself can lead you to having clots. And then it can also increase your risk if you have a clotting disorder. Smoking can cause respiratory conditions, chronic obstructive airway disease. That's just another complication of smoking. So it can also cause heart disease, heart attacks, etc. So as for smoking, we say don't go there at all.
Right.
Don't try. If you're not smoking, don't. If you are smoking, make efforts to stop. And when you're stopping, don't reduce it to 2-6. Stop smoking. And there are ways in which we can help you stop smoking, because the risk for disease are very high when you do smoke. So that's 0. We can also, by the side, talk about alcohol use, which should be done in moderation. It's said that if you don't drink, do not start. If
Right.
you do, then there are safe levels of drinking which you have to adhere to. But the 0 is no smoking. Now 5 talks about your diet. So it is recommended that you take 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Now,
Five,
when I
five
say
servings, you say?
5 servings, and
Sure.
when I say 5 servings, I'm not talking about buying a whole mango and consuming it as your breakfast, and then buying a whole pawpaw. No, there are servings. So there's 7. There are dimensions that are recommended. A cupful. So if you look at that big mango, all you may need is just a quarter of it. Okay, which
Right.
should be in your diet. And the reason is it gives you potassium. Potassium as compared to sodium. Sodium has, risk for hypertension and all that. So would rather do more fruit and vegetables. And those things in the right proportion. And I have to caution because I've seen people go for a whole pack of mango and say they're eating healthy. No, that's going to increase your caloric load and it's going to be counterproductive to what you're trying to do. So you have to look at the right portion. And then, so that's 5 servings.
Right.
And we know that you'd have to use your healthy plate. So, for example, if you take a plate, use a smaller plate. It's more easy to eat less when you do that. And divide it into 4. 1 then 2 halves will be for your vegetables, 1 part will be for your carbohydrates, and 1 part for your protein. So that's just a guideline, a rough guideline for eating well. So that's 5. Then 10. 10 says that you should pause during your day and reflect and have some quiet, a time of reflection or a time of meditation, whatever.
Right.
Some 10 minutes where there is no activity, there's nothing stressing your mind. And a lot of conditions are caused by stress or are exacerbated or worsened when there's stress, like hypertension, also septic ulcer disease, etc. And even if you are stressed on a very high level at a very fast rate, if you are always under pressure, it can also give you some heart disease. So
of course,
every day, 10 minutes should be to just pause and relax. Now 30. So I say 30 because we are looking at the general population. 30 shouldn't really be our mark for a good body mass index.
And Doc, not to cut you off, it is some 2 minutes until we're wrapping up, and I know we're going to have a part 2 of this because this one is a big topic. So round up for us on the 30, if you're able to in the next minute, and then we'll park the conversation here, and we want you in studio. This is a big conversation for us. We will do a part 2 and get some more gems.
So it's all right. So keep your BMI below 30. Actually, the ideal is below 25. So if you're overweight, you are now going to get below 30 and hopefully below 25 because the evidence is there. The risk for metabolic conditions, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease are increased when you're obese. And then the last thing, but not least, is exercise. At least 150 minutes of exercise in a week, and you need to plan for that. I didn't talk about preventive medicine for children. Growing children, you have you can vaccinate them against cervical cancer from age 9. So if you have children from age 9, you can start thinking about it. Or at least if they're even 11 years, that can work. And then we have so many things to talk about: safety in the family, etc. And then if your family member has a risk factor, then you're going to have a more heightened suspicion and more rigorous screening for you.
All right, Doc, thank you.
I'd like to say for now.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that. This has been fruitful. And that point about even having some quiet time to ourselves throughout the day, I think that is an important one. We'll connect again for a part 2 so we can have a full conversation on managing family health. But thank you so much for your time. Very grateful again.
And thank you very much for inviting me. I'm grateful.
And that was Dr. Dora Egble-Wogbe, family physician and clinical care coordinator at the Korle Bu Polyclinic Family Medicine Department. And that's how we round things up this morning on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. It's still Family Month. We're still talking about matters that concern you and your family. So thank you for sticking with us all throughout the month of May. We don't take your support for granted. Again, the corporate hangout is happening this Friday, 26 May 2023 at the Gold Coast Restaurant. It's going to be a splendid time. Come and let your hair down. There's going to be music, games, a lot of networking. I'm going to be there and I can't wait to see all of you. We'll tell you more about it as the day progresses, so do stick with us. The news at 10 is coming up very shortly, and then we have Black Rasta. He's going to be taking over for the Urban Blend. Of course, the Drive team will follow closely after, but throughout the day we have great music and news also interspersed. Keep your dial locked here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Helen Apia Ampofo. On behalf of the incredible Sunrise team, do do have an amazing Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.